Recording in progress.
Good evening, everyone. We are here at the World School Chess Championships in Rhodos, and I'm together with Grandmaster Giannis Papaiωάννου, who is here with me to commentate on the games which were played from round 1 until round 6. So this is a kind of wrap-up with commentation a posteriori, after the games were played. Good evening, Giannis. How are you?
I'm very, very well. In fact, today it's my birthday, and
Happy
I'm becoming
birthday.
yes, and I'm becoming 23 years old. Yes, in fact, 47, and I'm quite happy. A little bit depressed. I'm wondering how is it possible? How all these years have passed? Where have I been? Where have I been all these years? And they passed almost without my permission. But what can you do? Life goes on.
Come on, you were excelling in chess. So we are in chess land, and you're like our king, especially
Yes.
here in Greece.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Oh, not
Local
your goodness.
king.
That's
Local
the
king.
truth. Yeah, local king.
Yes,
Good.
still years are passing. I feel that with time, I play less and less good. My mind is less sharp, and let's say I am not so much interested anymore in chess as I used to be. I am just a bit less interested. I still love it and like it, but I'm not completely crazy about it as I used to be, let's say, 10 years ago.
Okay, since today is your birthday, let's tell us what's your wish for the future. What's your goal? What's next?
For myself, first of all, to be healthy, physically and mentally, to be healthy and with all the people around me, all the people that I love, you can say for the whole world, and for chess to still remain a very good player as best as I can. Those are my goals,
this is
nothing
something
tremendous.
that you don't need to wish for.
Yes.
I will wish to you health, and my wish to you is to keep your wittiness. You know, I adore your sense of humor. Okay, this is my confession. I truly like when we're having a commentary together or a live stream, because the time passes so quickly and I always want more, you know. I always try, guys, to have Giannis as my guest because he's the best.
I can agree in one thing, the time passes quickly. I can agree. Okay. So
let's cut to the chase. Today, I'm going to select some of the games. They are the ones live broadcasting throughout the championships that are held here in Rôdos Palace. And of course, Giannis doesn't know, it's a surprise for him. And to tell you the truth, we're going to commentate on certain categories, under 11, both open and girls, 13, 15, and 17. Let's start and see what we have here. And first of all of the games, all the games are uploaded on our Lichess account. You can find So we're going to start with under 17, and one of the games that actually made, let's say, an impact because it happened in the first round. So one of the top seeders of this category is the Romanian Filip Andrei. You see his rating, it's 2,327, lost by Portocalci, I think this is how it is pronounced. If I don't pronounce it well, I'm sorry. And the game will be now demonstrated by Giannis.
First of all, let's clarify that we have not studied this. I personally have not studied this or any other game in advance. So the news will be new to me, all the games. I like when somebody is commentating. The idea is like a very experienced player like myself, like experienced grandmaster for so many years. I put also myself to the test. So you will see me making mistakes, thinking about it, blundering maybe something. Yeah, this is exactly the process of chess. And also, I'm sure that many players have already analyzed their games with the computer. That doesn't matter at all. You do not improve, you do not get better at all when analyzing all the time endlessly with the computer. It is far more important. Just imagine, in the past, all the super top players didn't even have computer, yes? And they reached such tremendous levels. So it is far more important to analyze with an experienced player, with an experienced trainer, and you will see he cannot play like your computer, of course, but it's very important that you see the process of thinking. This is far more important. So how do we start? I play, how do I?
Here.
From here. So
let me press
yes.
the first move.
So
and now
D4, knight f6, knight f3, e6, and bishop f4. So this is the London system. Can I take moves back now? Let's check. Yeah. So this, of course, we all know it's very fashionable these days. This is another possibility, bishop g5, the Torres system, which, take my advice for it, it is at least as interesting as the London. But let's check what happened in the game. Bishop f4, c5, c3. There are two main ways for white to play the London here, with c3, like it happened in the game, and the other way is with e3, which is even a bit more common. Both are playable, and this c3 is in fact interesting because it is very annoying. After a move like e3, black has also possibilities to shake the balance. For example, to take on d4 and play systems like this with b6 and bishop b7, or b6 and bishop a6 at some moment, and create imbalances. But after c3, which is totally playable, we have a symmetrical position. White is intending to take with a pawn on, with a c pawn on d4. Let's see what happened. b6, e3, bishop b7, knight bt2. All these moves have been played several times. And bishop e7. Now, this move is playable and very natural and good. And now white can take both ways. Surprisingly, this appears to be the best because white will play bishop d3 and castle short and then make use of the semi-open e file. But black has very good counter chances, and he has a very safe king. This is very well known. Let's check what, or maybe h3 first for white. Let's say here h3, and here it is very important to note.
Why do you play h3? What is the meaning of this
because
move?
at many moments black wants to annoy us with a move like knight h5.
So the bishop has to go back.
Back to h2. In this particular position, it may not even be so necessary, but here it's very important that black does not play this move. I see many players committing this big positional mistake. This d5 move connected with the move c takes d4 is a big mistake. Now, if we put a pawn, black pawn on c5 and a pawn on e3, white pawn on e3, this d5 move is playable without taking on d4. But here, this is a big positional mistake because it is blocking this bishop and it is weakening this e5 square. White must play this move. It is generally very useful to prevent such ideas with knight e4. So white should play such a move, and this is, for example, here, or knight bd7, this is already a huge positional advantage for white. In high level, this is an almost winning position. Now, the question would be here, by the way, should white castle short or long? The answer is very clear. White should castle short because castling long may offer better attacking possibilities for white, but automatically, by definition, it gives black counter chances of a counter attack.
Yeah, it seems kind of unsafe, you know.
Exactly,
this, semi-open
Black acquires
C5
counterplay without deserving it, without doing absolutely nothing. So the correct move is this, and white has a very big advantage. Later, he will continue with ideas like knight d5 and very typical stuff, the so-called, what's the name, Pillsbury attack. So, but here, nevertheless, black will play this move, which is far better choice, and this is a very nice position unclear with chances for both sides. Sometimes the computer gives some advantage for white, but it cannot prove it. It plays random moves back and forth. And so black here has a very safe position. And later he may try some ideas with a6 and b5 at a good moment.
Isn't that something that we learn, we teach to the younger students, that when you have a fianchetto, you try not to block your bishop?
Exactly, but this is, let's say, in this particular position, a bit of simplistic approach. If we as I said before, if in connection with the move c4, e4, the move d5 is a mistake.
Okay.
So, however, after c4 here, it is also interesting to take with the c pawn. We don't know what was white's intention. C takes d4 is also possible. I have also played a very nice game in the Olympiad in 2014, I think, in 2014 in Tromsø, Norway, where in a totally winning position, I made a draw in the end, but this is a very educative game. C takes d4, C takes d4, and I suggest to our dear observers to study it. So h3, once again, to avoid knight h5, d6, yes, bishop d3.
It looks similar to the setup
Exactly.
you said, without the exchange of the pawns on the d4.
On d4, yes. So knight bd7, castles, and now white has some interesting ideas. He played this a4. Another playable move, or let's say playable idea, is e4. Here, of course, the sequence c4, e4, and e5 has to be calculated. I think it is good for black. So this is another interesting possibility. And the idea is to take, obviously, with a c pawn on d4. The same goes here. If black takes on d4, the best, let's say we play this move, and he takes. Surprisingly, the best move is this. C takes d4. The best idea. Here, there is some, I see some knight d5 kind of tactic here, and maybe knight b4, for example, intending bishop a6. But generally speaking, maybe not queen e2 here, maybe a move like rook e1 or e4 directly, or even a3. This is another playable move, very playable move. The idea is after c4 to take with the c pawn once again, and not with the e pawn. And you have this now we control b4 square. We have this symmetrical position, which is a little bit annoying for black, who wants to play for a win. And then this pawn is coming to e4.
So there is a very strong center for the white.
Yes. By the way, let's clarify something. So what to do after c3? There are two good moves which you need to investigate. One is c takes d4. This is very decent choice for black, and knight c6, and some concrete stuff with bishop d4. And another very interesting possibility for black, is this, knight c6. This appears to be nothing special. White will play e3. And now we do not intend to take on d4.
Yes.
Now we do not intend to enter the main line with d5, which is good for white, but to play this move intending queen b6. If bishop g5, queen b6. Surprisingly, this is a reversed Slav defense with e3. This is very strange. This e6 move is reverse Slav, but of course we didn't play even black becomes white now. This d5 would have been d4 first move. So after a few moves, black will play d5, and this is a reversed Slav e3 exchange. Players with the black pieces should investigate these two very good possibilities, c takes d4 and knight c6. Because if we play like this, as black played, it's not bad, but it's a little bit passive. And let's check what happened. A6, yes, bishop g3 stepping away from e5 moves. So rook e8, I think here, yes, queen e2. When black takes on d4, to me there is absolutely no doubt. Yes, e takes d4 is interesting, but in fact, this is a better move. Now there is maybe knight d5. Obviously, now white is intending to take with the e pawn, maybe. And this is a natural position. This is what black should do. Yes, in my view, the correct move here for black is c takes d4. To clarify things, white will probably, in connection with a4, white intends to take with his e-pawn on d4, and then we reach again this hedgehog position, which is totally acceptable for black. Totally acceptable. Let's see what happened. So here, and e5, take, and here white has
but I think that black doesn't want to simplify the game.
Yes,
sometimes when the player is
course,
better, he always tries
of course, but
to...
yes, but we need to be objective also. Yes,
Yeah.
up to some point,
yes,
we need to be
yes,
objective. So here, the idea could have been e4, but after e4, maybe black has b5 here. I'm not so sure. This e4 looks very interesting. I don't know what the computer says. The idea is not to play knight e3 yet. The idea is to play bishop h4. After, let's say, such a move, which is bad, we will play here, then capture this knight on f6.
And there is a black square.
Yes, yes.
Square
And now, of course, we capture this, and now we play such classical moves like knight e3 or even knight a3, such ideas intending to take on a6 and intending later to play bishop c4 at a good moment. So
and knight also has very good squares.
Yes. So here after e4, possibly the best move is b5 here, b5 for black, in order to.
But I think e4 for white is a very difficult move to find.
Well, I don't know. It's maybe kind of classical. It's I don't know how to describe this move. Playable idea. I believe black should play b5 here because there is this positional threat, bishop h4, and black needs to act fast. This is, of course, how would I play in this position with white? I would think for 20 minutes, yes? As always, we need to answer fast and give some general considerations. So here, b5 is strategically the only move and try to act fast.
Yeah.
If b5 is not working, then I believe black is in trouble. So let's check knight d2. So queen c6 and f3. Now black is standing quite well. The only problem is this a6 pawn here. Well, this is totally playable. However, is this better for black or for white? Or is it equal? I would need a bit more time to think here, a bit more time. It seems to me that black is doing okay.
I also think that black is slightly, I feel more comfortable to play for black before the queen f5 move. So I don't like the queen on f5.
Yes, let's clarify something first of all. This move, queen f5, is a move of a player who might be very good, but he is not experienced. Generally, especially when we play with theoretically less good opponents, this is a very basic principle. Keep it in mind. We should not give easy and natural moves to our opponent. We should keep the position
this is a
more
very good
unclear.
Advice,
yes,
especially when we have to do with youngsters, because
of course,
most of them are not so experienced and they don't play in a country, let's say in a national tournament. There are kids from all over the world. So it's very difficult to know the psychology or the level of everyone.
And of course, we're talking about very young players, which means the player with the white pieces, here he has a rating of 1800, but at the moment of the game, he can be 2200, for example.
Yes,
we don't know that because young players are improving very fast. Yes. So anyway, generally, no matter if you are playing with an experienced or a less experienced opponent, you should not give him very easy and natural moves. Here, a player with 2700 rating would play e4 with white very fast. A player with 1500 rating, what do you think he would play with white? E4 again, because it is a very easy move to make.
For example, for me, after queen f5, it was like seconds, e4.
Of course.
I don't like, I play against the bishop, I thread the queen, and I have all the kind of getaways for my bishop, for my knight on e3. So there's easy planning.
Very well. So here, king h8. Now I don't know. Bishop h4 was not played, obviously, because of knight h5. Yes, here this move makes a lot of sense because white is threatening to capture on f6. For example, after such a random move, white will, of course, capture and play knight e3, and this is completely winning position. Soon we will play either bishop d5 or knight d5.
But usually kids that age don't play knight on d5 because there's a quick exchange, for example,
Yes.
and they don't want to go on an end game with different colored bishops.
Yes. What would you play here if it was white to move, theoretically speaking, bishop d5 or knight d5?
I would play bishop d5.
I will tell you my opinion. Objectively, the best is bishop d5, clearly, and then we will be left with a strong knight against a bad bishop. However, although I am a very objective player and a very objective and as I like to say, unbearably objective person as well, there are very few moments in chess where I lose objectivity. And here, because I very much like to play with opposite color bishops, advantages with opposite color bishops, I would possibly prefer knight d5 if we say that theoretically bishop takes d5 was forced. So anyway, this is just explaining for, let's say, weaker players, but here bishop h4 is still interesting. Here black should play this move, of course. He should not allow this bishop takes f6, but still I think white is better. For example, after a move like
Queen f2.
Queen f2, let's say knight f4, threatening to take on h3, of course, we will play this or maybe even this.
That would be my question. Is there any difference in playing king h1 or king h2? Because
the differences
this dilemma is all the time.
I will tell you. Such dilemmas, some dilemmas sometimes appear in a chess game, not very often, but they do appear. And the differences are so small, and both moves have advantages and disadvantages that humans cannot really tell exactly which one is better. It's mostly about intuition. And here I have, generally I play very fast, but you may see me thinking for 1 hour, for 40 minutes to decide between king g1 and king h2.
Really?
And then play the rest of the game in 7 minutes for the whole game, for example. Yes, such dilemmas are torturing me. So here, it's only about experience and feeling of the game. I would probably play king to h2 the way I see it now. You know, in the past, you remember this famous chapter, the wrong rook. Which rook to move where? Yes?
Yes.
Well, I had this problem for years and years when I was a young player, even when I was already a good player. But after some time, the experience becomes so huge that I believe in the last 10 years, I never made a mistake on this. It happens automatically in 2 seconds to find the right rook. Rook A to D1 or rook E to D1.
For example, to follow? Because I know.
To have experience, to be objective, and to devote countless hours in chess. This is the rule.
Okay.
This is the rule. And then yes, and then you will pick up the correct rook to put it on the correct square. Okay, let's go back now. Let's see. Oh, not so back, not so back. So just a second, we are here. So Queen f5 is practically, theoretically, a mistake. Do not give to your opponents so easy, natural moves to make with tempo.
Okay, I think the problem started with Queen e6.
Yes, already.
Queen was,
yes.
Queen was standing okay on c6.
You know, also black feels the obligation to play for a win no matter what, but white has a very stable position, typically in the London. I have seen many young players from Turkey, many young players, even without a high rating, playing very well in the London, extremely well. I have seen that already for some years now. It seems they are doing a very good job, and I have to praise their trainers for that. I have seen them playing the London in particular at very high level. You see a player with only 1300, for example, and he plays the London for way over 2000 rating, for example. Yes, it means they are doing a lot of work. And so king h8 was played, bishop h2. Okay, also playable because this bishop may come to g1 later. Let's check here. Yes, natural moves. White is better though, yes, because there are weaknesses. Let's check.
So you predicted the knight on d5.
And here, what is happening with a6? No, if bishop takes a6, rook blunder a piece, rook takes a6, and the rook on d8 is dropping. So it's
On
not
d2.
possible yet. Yes, on d2. b3, which is on one hand weakening a little bit, on the other hand,
Yeah, probably he wants to play rook a d1.
Rook a d1 without dropping a4, and finally threaten this a6 pawn. So here, a very sad move to make this rook there. I believe that the best way to play such a position, which has become really very bad,
I don't like the setup of the black pieces whatsoever.
You can be sure that none of the players like that.
It's like
neither white or
disorganized.
black, yes? So in such a position, which is, of course, I'm sure black would perfectly understand that this is an objectively lost position. In my view, the best way to play is to find something to complicate
The position,
matters.
yeah.
Yes, like which move to play, I'm not really sure here.
But shouldn't we get the queen back to the game?
If we start defending, we will lose no matter what. For example, if we play a move like this, white will now take here, and this is completely lost without any complications. So here I believe it's the moment for black around here to realize that he is lost and start complicating the issue if possibly. There is always, of course, the possibility of blundering something and losing even faster. For example, a move like f5, but it's not working, you know.
I was also, you know, I'm attacking player all the time, but even for me, f5 here seems like a hopeless.
Yes, but the whole position is hopeless, you know. I'm choosing, let's say, a different way to die, let's say. I'm choosing this f5 move. Maybe it would have been more complicated. E takes f5, I suppose, and a move like this. I know you brought me here to start sacrificing other people's pieces, yes? But the position is anyway very critical and objectively lost, and that's why we are looking for a way to complicate matters. For example, here if he takes, bishop takes f5, you know, you may say objectively, white is winning, but black will say, I simply don't care. The position is lost anyway. I'm striving for some energetic counterplay and see what happens, yes? So, for example, after this move is almost working. You see, such motives, possibly not working, but yes, but it's almost working, almost doing something. We were close. Objectively, I know it's not good.
Okay, but it's a very nice idea.
Yes, like in my view, because the position is completely lost, the best way is to try and do something to complicate it, you know? There is always the danger that you will lose even faster if you start playing f5 and all this, but if you don't do it, you will lose for sure. That's the problem. If you start playing a5 and try to protect all the weaknesses, it won't happen. White has very easy play here, bishop b5, and in the end, some pawns will drop without the counterplay. You know, just imagine black, if he loses one pawn on b6, he will feel very bad because he will say, I lost the pawn anyway. It should have been better to play some f5 move, complicate things. I lose a pawn again, but at least there are some chances of mistake. Together with some time trouble, maybe my opponent will be afraid of me a little bit, and anything can happen. So,
and miscalculation as well, okay?
Yes, of course. In my view, if I had the white pieces here and I realized that objectively this is a winning position, this move would make me a little bit nervous and angry, this move. All the other moves, like the move played in the game, now I know I will win for sure.
Yeah, it's too passive.
Yes, bishop takes e5, let's check.
And there are
b5.
no consequences after taking the pawn.
There is still some compensation, but so let's check. Yes. Okay, there were, of course, other possibilities, but if we check, this rook stayed on the A line and they need to move again.
Yeah, it's like having two pieces that don't play.
So rook d1, and this is objectively Winning queen e1 looks to me a little bit strange,
But I think white wanted just to exchange the queens and continue in the endgame.
Yes. Here, unfortunately for black, sometimes there is nothing to do. Sometimes with this very powerful knight on d5, but you see, instead of going for such a very passive position and objectively lost, I would have preferred, you see, this is an important lesson. What does the computer say? It might say +3. It doesn't matter at all.
Yeah, it's complicated.
It's not the computer that it's playing, I want to believe. So it's human chess. So what matters is also psychology, calculation. There will be some mistakes by both players, this is for sure. Rather than playing this very passive position. Yes, and here white is winning very confidently. Yes, I'm a little bit surprised. How is it possible that they played so many moves? Yes.
No,
okay.
I think...
And here white wins. So this is the way I see this game with my big experience.
But
let's stop it around here. So, so we talked about it. We made some corrections in the opening. Now this is a good opportunity for both players to study these positions with C3, because you know we all have the tendency to avoid studying annoying variation. This C3 in the London is an annoying little pet line. Yes, in the opening. And black quite often avoids studying it, but this is not the solution. You should, if you want to become a very good player, you should spend some hours and look at the games of the experts and find find some other source. There are some very nice sources, and find some very good way to play against it.
Let me find another one game to see. Maybe, okay. I will look this because this player from Kazakhstan, actually, he does quite well in the tournament, and I think he's tied in the first place. He's like without any loss.
I see.
So let's see one of his game. I think this is from round 2.
Yes.
Let me see. Yes, it's round 2.
Okay.
So here you are.
Let's see, e4, c5.
What you would suggest to players who want to continue in chess? Because usually all of these kids, we're in a school's chess championship. The scholars have a million of activities that they do, you know, foreign languages, other sports. How they should try to engage chess into their everyday routine?
Well, they should spend on it as many hours as possible. If they want to become very good players, there is no magic recipe. Study endlessly as much as you can, train very much, play in tournaments. There is no magical recipe, yes? And then other activities like school and all these will be second. For example, for me, school was always the first activity and most important. And after that, it was chess. So, but for many players, if they want to become, or if they are already consider themselves professional players, it's very simple. Spend endless hours studying chess, openings, and especially middle game and end game. Train with good trainers. Solve very difficult tactical exercises as well as studies, which are very good for calculation, and play many tournaments. There is no magical solution. Some time ago, some amateur player contacted me, and he told me he has a very low rating because he cannot calculate. And he asked me for a solution. I told him there is no magical solution. He said, you are a grandmaster, find me a magical solution, what to do? I said, there is no magical solution. If you ask any good player in the world, he will tell you, solve many exercises, play a lot, gain experience and train. But he would insist, funnily, that no, there is some magical secret which us grandmaster know, and you know there is some kind of conspiracy, and we're not telling anyone. I can assure you that there is no such secret.
Chess is like a language. You cannot learn a language in one day or in one week.
Of course.
And
yes.
You get experience only by using the language.
By practicing. Yes. Even playing bleach games is up to some point useful. We should not overdo it, but up to some point, like you can try your openings, for example. You can play, let's say you start studying the Caro-Kann. You can play 50 Caro-Kann games or 20 in one day. If you expect 20 bleach games in one day, 20 times to try your Caro-Kann and then check your mistakes and all these. If you are waiting to get 20 Caro-Kanns in standard games, 5 years will pass, yes?
Probably.
So, yes. So study, spend many hours on chess. So A6, this is the Najdorf, and Bishop D3, this is some kind of fashionable line.
I played it like 20 years ago.
Yes, it is. Probably. 20 years ago, you are way ahead of your time, I have to say.
No, I can tell you, you can find games of mine. All of my Najdorfs had Bishop D3 as
yes. Although this is like only in the very latest years, it's considered to be a very good. So you are many years ahead of your time. I have, I believe that. Why not? So here. Typically, there are many ways for black to play. G6 is acceptable. This move is acceptable. E5 is, of course, acceptable. First of all, in my view, black should also know, you see, this is an annoying little variation, which players with the black pieces, as always, tend to ignore. They hate to study such lines, and they prefer to study the main lines with Bishop G5 and Bishop E3 and find some nice ideas and all this. But these annoying little lines are very interesting. So if you want to start playing the Najdorf, or if you are already playing the Najdorf, you should spend a lot of time in these lines. Bishop D3, Rook G1, A3, and A4. These lines will, and even this H4 just a little bit. These lines will, even Queen D3. All these lines have a reason that they exist, and they are very annoying. And by studying them with the black pieces, not only you learn how to play against them,
you understand the plans.
Exactly. Okay. You get a better understanding of this opening in general. So do not avoid these lines. Start with this line, with these annoying little lines. Like in the previous game, after this C3 London, yes? Black may tend to ignore it. No. First thing you will do is study these annoying little lines. I know, for example, I play Sicilian with black, but I haven't studied after E4, C5, and C3, the C3 Sicilian. Oh, this is a very annoying little system. I ignore it. No, this is not the solution. This is the first that you need to study very, very well.
The annoying one.
Exactly. So here E6 was played, which is kind of less good than E5. White is already happy here because he gains space. Now, I don't know about this E5, to be honest. I do not know the theory here. However, this appears to be...
I usually cast.
Yes, of course, because there is no Queen B6. This is a test for you. Totally wrong, Queen B6. What will White play here?
I would play Bishop E3.
Bishop to E3, sacrificing this.
Always.
Yes,
I
very good.
sacrifice a pawn,
Very good, very good. You almost begin the game without this pawn, I mean, yes?
Yeah.
Very nice. There is a very simple solution also.
Sacrificing is my life, guys.
I see. So okay, very
ask me
nice.
Something strategic. So there I will have a problem answering.
E5 is possibly theory. I don't really know, to be honest, because in this position I wouldn't play E6. So here Queen G4 appears to be very normal. Of course, it
reminds variations of French, some variation with this idea. With
the question is, what is happening after this move? Can White possibly take here? Possibly this is the solution with an instant win. Yes, here and check. There is no G6 at all, as it seems. And here, White will play this move, of course. Soon he will regain the piece, and
the position is horrible for.
Yes, he will win with very fast attack. So knight d5, queen g4 here, and bishop h6. Yes, this is very interesting attacking play. And white is not interested about his pawn structure, of course, but he's interested in his attack. This makes a lot of sense. And white is now not counting pawns. This is what he should do. This is the so-called principled way of playing. What does principle? We have already explained that in the past. What does it mean? Quite often we hear principal way of playing. This is the principal move. It means ignoring my opponent's threats. I play a move, I see my opponent's threats, I calculate them, and I tend to ignore them. So here, castling short is the principal move, ignoring black's threats of taking on c3 and of taking on
actually,
e5.
Yeah, losing time. It's like
Exactly.
losing tempo because black needs to develop and he misses time on taking some pawns.
Yes, white has a very nice feeling for the initiative. All the pieces are playing, and now soon white needs to do something, either some sacrifice or win back some material. He cannot stay like this for too long because the advantage in development is of temporal nature, as they say. So queen here, yes, bishop here, and king h1. Yes, in fact, king h1 is not a waste of time, it's a very attacking move because it frees the knight. Now knight is ready to move, to be sacrificed, and I'm sure that after, let's say, such a move, there are a lot of tactics, as it seems. For example,
for me, I would place the bishop on f6. I don't know.
Bishop g7.
Yes, and f6, something like that. Try to create, you know, a checkmate pattern.
Also, this appears to be interesting because if he plays here now, maybe knight takes on e6 is good. Maybe it's not so clear. Of course, you can ask your computer this, but this is not the point. So
yes, because when this is a huge mistake that all kids do, and not only you know, amateur players. For example, for me, I don't like to put the engine on. This is the way to calculate. Yeah, it takes time. I understand that. Okay, for my level. For you, it's you do it faster than me, but this is how you improve.
Of course, because when you get used to the machine and that it provides the perfect answers within half a second, then you go to play and you know how you feel. You feel hopelessly alone. Just you, remember my words, hopelessly alone. Just you, your opponent, and the pieces. Yes, nobody is there to help you what to play. You imagine that in this position, my computer will most definitely say +4. Yes,
there, Giannis.
Exactly. This is the problem. +4. This is the good thing, I would say.
And that is even the worst, you know, when kids come out and there is like a strategic, let's say, game like this, where, okay, probably it's like +4 or +5, but he's material down. So if he doesn't find the correct variation, he may lose, because if the pieces are exchanged, white will be worse, and in the end game they will probably lose. So it's like, okay, you were +4. Okay, +4 is for he's not a computer. He needs to find the perfect variation for the +4.
Absolutely. So here, maybe this queen f6 is not the best move after all. I tend to like this bishop g7, or maybe even this move. I started like he cannot take with a queen. So here, and now maybe something like this appears to be even better.
Nice.
Here, yes, because both f7 and c6 are hanging, and here I see a lot of attacking possibilities. For example, here maybe even rook d1, or maybe
bishop e4.
Bishop e4, yes, and here rook d1, or maybe even this move here, and possibly, or I don't know if we are possibly missing something, rook d1, but this appears to be very dangerous. Yes, here this is winning by force. Already black can resign because c6 and f7 are hanging. He cannot protect them both. And so let's see what happened. Queen e7. Yes, this is the basic idea, and bishop f6. And now it is very difficult to save this position. I'm sure there are many combinations.
Yeah, probably, and sacrifices as well.
Yes, on e6 sooner or later. This knight b3 strategically is not desirable because you simply remove this active piece from the center.
I would play on F5 or something.
Yes.
I will try to go. Now it's not possible. The
It's
F5,
not yet.
but
But for example, now there are ideas with rook to d1. That's the only good thing about knight to b3 here. But then bishop d6 or what? Yes, bishop d6. Yes, white has a very strong initiative. Still, I cannot find something that is completely winning. Maybe this move. Yes, white found it for me. And wow, and now he takes on e6. Very nice attacking game. In terms of material, sometimes this is very typical in the Sicilian, sometimes black may have good position in terms of material, but you should not expect, let's suppose, now let's clarify something. Here, take, of course there is queen f7 check, but let's suppose I put this pawn here and this rook here. Yes?
Yes.
And it is white to move. So in terms of material, black is doing very well here. Black has rook and two bishops for the queen. Rook and two bishops. However, there is one thing very important in chess called piece coordination. And together with weak black king, an experienced player can expect almost certainly that in order for black to free his pieces, he will definitely lose some material here. So you may consider me, with my experience, I say that here, after some moves, even objectively, black may even be better. But after some moves, practically, white will win a piece if black wants to free himself. For example, I would have played this move now with fast calculation, and this move, not allowing rook f8, for example, and then some idea with c4 and c5, like he goes here, for example, to protect everything. Maybe in the end, if I don't have anything else, I will start collecting pawns. Look, I collect pawns, and still he has a weak king. Still the king is weak. So
and also he cannot go away. You will just take
yes,
the knight
I
and
take the
bishop,
rook,
and
then little by little we may start pushing. So there is a thing called coordination of pieces, which is practically equivalent to extra material.
It's like playing against to his plan. So you stop his pieces from developing and you gain advantage.
Exactly. For example, if I could magically put this rook here, black wins. But this rook will remain out of play for way too long because it requires this bishop to move. And in order for this to move this bishop, you need to move this knight. And in order to move this knight, you need to move the king. And this is way too many tempi, which is in the process, white will definitely win some material, I would say a piece with my experience. Yes. So do not only look at the material, but also look at the piece coordination. It is mathematically certain that for black, in order to free his pieces here, he will lose some material. Very good.
But that was a very nice game. I don't know how I got such a nice active game.
Yes, here and he resigned. Yes, very nice game. Yes, I play like this only in bleach games. Yes.
Really?
Yes, it doesn't happen to me. I play more solid chess. If I have the opportunity, I sacrifice, of course. But the way I play, I hardly ever get the opportunity for such attacks.
Before starting the next game, which will be probably the last one, I want to ask you something. Many kids are playing Blitz or Bullet online. Okay, you said you need to play many games, but I think that that's quantity and not quality.
Yes,
you know,
exactly
it's like
that.
Happy hour and not study hour.
I will tell you. Let's clarify. First of all, when we say kids, a kid can be 8 years old or it can be 17 years old, right? They are both kids.
Okay, so, let's say the under 10.
Yes. You know very well, there is an ancient Greek quote which says pan metron ariston, which means everything is good, but up to some degree, yes, without exaggeration. So it is good not for very little kids. Let's say for kids over 13, 14 years old to play some bleach games. This way they become better players. They acquire some experience. They test their openings. They get to like chess even more. They get to like competition even more. They get to meet chess friends even more. So in these senses, it is useful, but they should clarify in their minds and with the help of their trainers that bleach is not chess. Bleach is just for fun. Or to improve maybe in fast taking decisions, maybe to check some openings. And when we play serious chess,
they cannot, let's say, understand their mistakes, because usually, okay, I would get your point if, for example, they would sit and analyze their mistakes, but they play so many like
yes, 1 minute game. Let's say, you know, exaggeration is the problem. If they play, let's say, 10 1-minute games, it's not a big deal. I mean, and then you stop and then you go and study. The problem is 1,000 1-minute games, yes? And also, let's say for very young kids, just maybe a small amount of bleach games, yes? For a bit older kids, like 14 years old, 15, 16, they can possibly play a little bit more and gain all the benefits of bleach, but clarify in their mind that this is a very different story than real chess. Yes, and if somebody sees that the student is overdoing it with bleach games, he needs to put an end on it, to suggest that he plays only, let's say, 15-minute games or standard games, and instead he studies chess. Yes, okay. Use this time not for playing bleach, but for study end games, for example, which is far more important, far more productive.
But far more not fun.
Yes, yes. What can you do?
I'm an end game fan, so okay. Probably something went wrong with my creation. Now our last game will be a game of one of our own, Philippos Economopoulos. He plays in the under 11 category. So yesterday he drew. This is his yesterday game. Both he and Kwandu Kulu were tied on first place. Now they're second. And if I recall correctly, Economopoulos is playing with the first, who is Yilmaz Baver. So I would like to see that game because, okay, he is one of the Greeks doing very well in this tournament.
Very unique idea.
Wish him
very unique idea to see draws. Usually,
yes, everyone wants to see wins and losses, but I guess probably at their age they miss some good position.
Let's check
somewhere.
So knight f6 and knight c3. Another playable move is bishop d3 here. So knight c3. For the moment, we do not know whether it's going to be a pirch or a Philidor defense. So g6 was played.
It can also be Sicilian in some.
Yes, now too late, only with the help of white. So after g6, this is called pirch. While there is the modern opening, which means pirch without knight f6, with a very delayed knight f6. So here white has several ways to play. g3 is one of them. Let's check. So here, castle, knight g2, e5. Yes, h3, normal moves. E takes d4, knight takes d4. If we take this c7 pawn and put it on e7, that would be a dragon Sicilian. Yes. Yes. So here castles. This is again, if we take white's pawn from c2 and put it on c4, this is a king's Indian, but a totally different opening than this one, with maybe just a few common ideas. So as we say here, white has not made any mistake. So objectively, he is slightly better, but practically that doesn't mean anything. So bishop d7, intending obviously knight c6 and queen d2. In such positions, we need to clarify one very typical mistake, which I will show here. Let's say black plays this move. We play bishop e3, and now this, I see many players in similar positions playing such moves. This is a big mistake. Look at how this typical mistake is punished. Generally, we have this very annoying move. And now there is pressure on this d6 point, and black can never push c6. It will take too much time to prepare this c6 move, and this knight is very annoying on b5. So this is a mistake that I have seen several times, even by experienced players, and one mistake that we should avoid. So here, let's check natural moves, queen d2, take, c5. What is happening now? This is
the d6, I think, is...
Yes, but black is going to act very fast with bishop c6. This looks like a very interesting idea. Queen takes. Here, nevertheless, maybe white is slightly better here. Yes, for sure. So rook a to d1. No, not black has counterplay. Yes, just let's say white's play is a little bit simpler, but now both players have done what they have to. Yes, what should white do now? In my view, now, it is too early for f4. This move is very premature, and it doesn't really have a target. We do not want to play e5 or f5 here, yes? So what should white do? In my opinion, here it is very clear what he should do. First of all, calculate whether we can withdraw this knight and win this d6 pawn. Most likely it's not going to happen, because black with his powerful bishop will find a way to have good counterplay here. So this is a very simplistic way of thinking. So what is the problem? The problem is this bishop from g2. This is a bad piece. The correct move in my view is to play this and then put it on h3. If necessary, if black plays a move like this, then we...
King h2.
Yes, we continue with king h2. So in my view, I see that white is ready for bishop takes d5. He will take with a queen. White is doing very well. First thing to do is to calculate whether he can win material, which is possibly not good, and then to improve our remaining pieces. So I repeat, this intending bishop h3. The black can possibly play such a move, or let's say a move like a5. I'm not sure if these are the most accurate moves. Here in rook b8, and this is dynamic counterplay. White may continue with such ideas, with h5, for example. But it's not clear what is happening now. Black also has two very powerful bishops. Okay, what is the objective evaluation? I'm really not sure here.
Because I see also some complication with
b4. Of course, b4, c4,
yeah.
Yes. So let's check what happened.
And it's not clear for white.
Yes, let's clarify. Bishop f3, h5, bishop g2. Let's clarify. I'm going to say it one time, and please learn it. The worst kind of mistake, which is extremely typical for young players, extremely typical, and one should definitely avoid it if he wants to become a better player, is moving the pieces back and forth. Like playing queen e2, and on the next move, queen d2. Queen c1 from d2 to c1, and on the next move, again, queen d2. Changing plan, like this one. Bishop f3 and bishop g2 on the next move. So bishop f3 and then going back. This is a very typical mistake, and the worst kind of mistake. That's why I insist. I needed to point this mistake in my career as a trainer at least 100 times. With not to the same player, obviously, to different players, yes? So why? Because this is exactly so typical. We change our mind. We play one move. Now, what should we do? We should be careful with the first move of the repetition, with bishop f3. Sometimes we play bishop f3, he plays a move, and then going back is forced. And then we need to go back. So we need to be extra careful on the first time. So here, this is clearly a mistake. h5 is good. And now I believe white should play this, h4. Instead, this move was played, and queen d7. This is a very interesting possibility, however. h4, g4 is probably the move. And now, look, now there is one very interesting idea. Finally take on d5. Queen takes, and play which move now? That's why we needed this h4 and
bishop
g4.
a5.
Of course, to play this move. All of a sudden, black is better. if he can prevent this f4.
Queen f6
yes,
probably after.
yes, Queen f6 or even Queen g5. If, for example, here we will definitely not allow this. If necessary, we will play Bishop f4 or even g5. G5 we want to avoid it because we also weaken the light squares. Possibly this is the move. Queen g5, yes, because if f4, Bishop takes f4, maybe here there is f4. Here, black needs to think. If necessary, I repeat, we will play this move. But for sure, black is better. Let's go back. So, because white lost too much time here, I'm almost certain that this is the correct move. Yes, to me, there is no doubt. And I believe white should
it's like a tackle, you know?
Yes, yes, yes. This, for experienced players, you know, these moves come automatically. I mean, not to play this move, to consider this move, yes? And I don't see anything else like now hoping to win d6 pawn. This is absolutely out of the question because the position is already very
Bishop
open.
e5,
Bishop is coming to e5 or moves like Queen g5. Now already there are way too many weaknesses. So it's not possible anymore. The most logical is this. And the way I see it, sorry, this is the move. Maybe white should consider this move, but then two things are happening. Black is slightly better.
Yeah,
and
the bishop is bad.
Yes, and also we are entering my favorite kind of position, which is opposite color bishops with queens. This is, I love it a bit more than the rest of the game. Yes, I do like chess, but
we have two such positions today, and it's like you ordered them. You pre-ordered it, and I didn't know it.
Yes, one opposite color bishop ending, please. So here, generally, black is slightly better, but at least he won't get to block the dark squares. Yes.
Okay, so, but white must be very careful here because the dark diagonal to the king is very open.
Of course, but in the long run, white, it's very important that he has a safe square for his king. This square is g2. Like, for example, this, because the king cannot stay to g1 forever. This and the king will quickly go to g2, and it is quite safe on the light squares. So it's only slightly better for black. Let's check, however, what happened here. This f4 I do not really like. Personally, I would have played h4 to stabilize the position, yes. And then king h2, try to play bishop h3. So here, let's check. Black is playing with a lot of imagination. Here, sacrificing, and I see, and all of a sudden, bishop takes, bc5. Very difficult to evaluate, but this position. But white would have been better if he could have his bishop on c4 in this position. But I think maybe a good idea is this move. Maybe, of course, it needs to be.
That is what I thought also.
Yes, it needs to be calculated, of course, but this is pointless because black will play c3. And I think this is the best way to play, because if he takes, then rook comes to c4, and it is threatening this f4 pawn. Yes,
but I probably he got afraid because there is a rook d7, something like that.
Yes, but after c4, yes.
And
maybe you are right. Maybe you are right. Maybe it's not so clear, but in that case, after bishop d5 and bishop c4, white does have some advantage. And now I am very skeptical about this move h4. This move h4 looks good, but there is the danger of keeping this bishop completely out of play.
It's like checkmated there.
Yes, I remember in the past I lost a very painful rapid game many years ago because of this, because of such a move. And since then, I am, let's say, sensitive in this matter.
Like it.
Yes, king f3 or maybe even bishop c4. But yes, objectively, yes, dynamic play. This bishop g3 move can be good if it is combined with dynamic play. But now what is happening after rook d7? Rook d7, take here, and e6. Very interesting. And finally, black sacrificed, which is practically,
Nice.
yes, nice and practically forced, I would say. So this requires this series of moves.
Good calculation.
Good calculation. Here, for example, this is a wonderful calculation exercise for both players. You set up this position, you switch off your computer, you put it aside or throw it out of the balcony, you put this position in your chessboard, and you start calculating for white the move bishop c4 that was played in the game. And then after bishop c4, you calculate this g5 for as many moves as possible. Yes, this is a wonderful calculation exercise. So here, let's check. Is there any better move here? I'm not sure. So let's check this very interesting endgame here, because these pawns are, of course, dropping. And king h2.
And rook a3.
Yes.
Probably.
So he maybe rightly so, white was afraid. This is very inspired play by black. Maybe rightly so, white was afraid to enter these complications, because this appears, in fact, to be winning for black. Yes, because two very fast pawns. This king has nice squares. It's coming to f5, to g4, or to e4 if possible. And what is the problem here? White doesn't have a passed pawn. It takes more time to create a passed pawn. Playing rook a5 and collecting material, this is not the point. What matters is to have a passed pawn and push it as fast as possible.
Also, he will protect the c5.
Yes,
pawn.
if he wants. Yes, very nice. So that's why he found this interesting solution. In fact, here, black can make a draw after this. Yes, with this move, check. Here and check. So yes, this is a draw. So black here must think whether to continue or not. If he has chances, yes, I believe he has, but very few. It's objectively.
Yeah, now it's
draw.
Objective.
Yes.
But he found a very nice combination.
Yes, so here and they are both out of trouble, and the objective result is a draw. Very nice game. I congratulate both players, and actually, a fair result in the end.
Yes, it was because right here, right now, both kings cannot get the rook's web, so nothing is hanging and nothing can pass.
Yes, and you know there is a big margin of draw in the rook endgame. One extra pawn for white can be a draw, equal pawns, or one extra pawn for black. This is 2 pawns margin, 2 pawn margin, draw in one case, draw also in the other case. That's why
there's a whole encyclopedia for
rooks.
Rook's ending.
Plus minus 2 pawns may make no difference in a rook endgame. That's why they say rook endgames tend to have a tendency for a draw. Yes.
So I want to thank you for being with us, Giannis, and happy birthday once more. I would be glad if we could have you one more, but you're very busy. I hope that you enjoyed your stay here in Rhodos.
Yes, I have been around here for some days. Actually, I play for the local club of Rhodos. This will be in summer. Will be my first year.
You're one of the Ippotes. Ippotis Rόδου means Knights of Rhodos. So you're one of the Ippotes of Rhodos, probably the first board of the team. So we wish you luck in your games this year, and hopefully we can see more chess games by you, Giannis.
Very good. Before we take off, I would like to suggest to all foreigners that are listening to us, and as well as to the Greeks that have never been to Rhodos, they should definitely come, because I have been to millions of places, you know, to countless countries all over the world. But this place, Rhodos, it has some magical, tremendous beauty.
It's like medieval, modern Greek hospitality all in one. Exactly. So, and they also play a lot of chess, you know, the local club is like fans of chess. So come here and you will have a truly good time.
I can tell you by experience that local people of Rhodos are a bit happier than the rest of Greeks.
All islanders are. Remember, Rhodos is an island, and all Greeks who live on islands are happy, you know? So, Gianni, thank you so much. Happy birthday once again. We're not going to sing the song right now, but afterwards. And I hope you enjoyed our commentary on the games, on some of the games, and hopefully we will have a part 2. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye-bye.